Hey guys, sorry about the mess. I'm currently in the process of trying to get some terrain setups ready for 11th edition. So the workstation is just an absolute mess. So yeah, you will just have to deal with it. In today's video, I am getting a few more bits and pieces ready for the orcs before the Armageddon box set actually drops. My one is of course super delayed because I'm over here in Ireland. Brexit does not make it easy, so my one should arrive in the next couple of days. Hopefully, every other creator already has them, but we won't talk about that. So yeah, to get myself geared up for that, I'm going to do a model that someone has asked me to do for quite a long time, and that is Ghazghkull. I have not done the modern Ghazghkull yet. I did a video on the really old Ghazghkull a few weeks back. One of the people that likes my videos seen that, wanted me to do a new one, so they actually bought and sent me the new Ghazghkull, which was super kind of them. So I thought that's what I'm going to tackle in today's video. And I'm not going to paint it as traditional Ghazghkull because I'm doing Speed Freeks. So I'm going to do his armor in reds and some checkers and stuff like that. So it's going to be really cool. Now, before I get into that video, huge thank you to everyone there that continues to support the channels by watching, liking, commenting, making sure you're subscribed. That is absolutely incredible. Please continue to do that. And everyone out there that pushes it a step further and supports us over on Patreon. You guys keep the lights on, the cameras rolling, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. We do a million different things to help encourage people to join Patreon. They get extra videos, they get access to podcasts, they get access to the Discord server where we do painting competitions and showcase and all sorts of other things. But we also do large scale giveaways every single month. Usually it's one of the larger box sets. We gave away a Mechanicum Army box set last month, and this month we're actually giving away a full Armageddon box set. So if you want to be with a chance of winning a full Armageddon box set, all you need to do is sign up to Patreon any tier. I will ship it anywhere in the world at my expense. So yeah, never a better time to get involved. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in and get Ghazghkull painted up. And this is Ghazghkull himself. Obviously we got him built up and we got him sprayed by a coat of black spray, ready to start exactly the same process that I went through with Ghazghkull. So I have this style in which I paint orcs. It's not really a style. I just think it's a really interesting and useful place to begin painting orcs from. And that is rust. I like to take all big, gnarly orc models and start them off with a full coat of rust all over. And then I start picking out the colored panels and the pipework and the skin and all that other stuff. Because basically, there's always going to be these weird little nooks and crannies on orc models, which by the time you get to the end of a model, you don't know what to do with them. They're a pain to get in and get some color in. And if you just leave them black, it's kind of, I don't know, it just doesn't sell the kind of whole orc feeling. So for instance, Ghazghkull's giant suit of mega armor, all I did was hit it with a nice coat of rhinox hide, making sure to get into all the nooks and crannies, nice solid coat. Then we jumped up to Riser Rust and we stippled this all across the brown everywhere. It can be a heavy enough coat of stippling with this. You can see how much orange we are leaving behind, how kind of haphazardly we are applying it, like that stippling technique. Just all those little nooks and crannies, get it filled in with the Riser Rust. And then we do in fact go up to an even brighter orange now. And all those different tones really do sell the whole kind of rust technique. The second orange we're using is of course Fire Dragon Bright. We're going to stipple this on in very much the same similar way as the first step, but just lighter. So you can see that I'm going for kind of more kind of light touches, not just haphazardly all over it, some of the higher points. And you can add some patches where it's a little bit heavier and some patches which are a little bit lighter. All you're trying to do is get that kind of tonal shift across the entire model. And I know it's a bizarre place to start. I know the model looks a little bit strange at this point. Just trust the process. Lead Belcher was then brought in, and then we do a nice kind of heavyish dry brush across all that sections again. Add all the chipping and the wornness, because obviously this isn't just a sheet of rusty metal which just gets left alone for years. This guy wears it, he clanks into battle with it, it gets chipped, it gets wrecked, it gets rubbed. So it's not just going to be the brown and orange. It's going to have a fairly newish look with the dry brush here. And this sells the entire rust technique. So once the whole model is like this, you can then make some really good kind of solid decisions as to what parts you want to work on, what parts you need to like pop out, what colors you want to put on what sections. So I'm obviously breaking the norm when it comes to Ghazghkull. Ghazghkull is of course the king of all orcs, but at heart of course he's a Goff, and which means he's supposed to be black armored with lots of checkerboard and stuff like that. But I'm doing a Speed Freaks army, and I don't particularly want to paint him in black, so I'm going to paint him in red. And you know what? He's my dolly. I can do what I want with him. By the end of this video, he kind of looks like a NASCAR. It kind of looks like he should have like sponsored badges all over him, which is not what I was going for. Well, it's not the vision I had in my head at the beginning, but I kind of really liked the direction it went in, so I just followed through. And I think he looks kind of awesome and gnarly in red. You'll see at the end. So I got my Mephisto on red, and then I decided on what panels I wanted to be red. And because I've spent that 5 minutes getting all the rust done, any panels that I decide not to do in red are just left that really nice rust color. They're already done. Like you take the power claw here, all those like pincers, all in between all the nooks and crannies, all the knuckles, the pistons, they're all covered in paint. His entire giant big powered backpack, it's already painted. You just pick out what panels you want with stuff. It's so simple. It's such an easy and fast way to paint orcs. And I'm sure you will see me use it again and again over the next coming weeks with the Armageddon sets. Like that, take that big orc mech walker, for instance. When we do this technique with that, we make it all rusty to begin with and then pick out the panels. It's going to make it so simple to paint. Whereas if you go in with a brush and try and break up all the different details, you're going to spend a week painting that thing. Evil Sun Scarlet was then brought in as the layer paint for the red. As you can see me just brightening up those panels a little bit. Quick and easy. Down and dirty. It's orcs, for God's sake. From here, we move on to Wild Rider Red, and this is the first edge highlight we're going to go for. So we're just going to go for the red sections and all the sharp edges, all the corners, all the points. We're going to hit with a very quick edge highlight across those sections, which will just add all that kind of depth into the red. He is Ghazghkull, after all, the main man, the boss of your army. So you should try and put in a little bit more effort with him when it comes to those kind of panels, those details that people are going to pay attention to. So obviously on a normal orc boy, you're not going to edge highlight the armor. But on your like Wazdakas and your Ghazghkulls and stuff like that, you probably do want to spend the extra time. He's going to be stomping into the middle of the enemy army, ripping commanders to pieces, destroying whole units. So your opponent's going to take quite a lot of notice of him. So you might as well give him something good to look at while he's trashing your army. And then we come in with that last edge highlight, which is Towlight Ochre, which is a bizarre color to highlight red with, but it works. Don't ask me why, but it just does. This is a much smaller edge highlight. We're just going for the sharp points. Anywhere where there's a little angle, you're just going to add a small touch of that Towlight Ochre in there. It looks great, and will work a treat. That adds a lot of depth into that red armor. It looks really, really nice. You can see how it's coming together. And you can see, like I said, in under the armpit is left not just black. It's, like I said, the rust. And I'm keep harking on about this, but I think it's genuinely a very clever technique when it comes to painting orcs and getting it done. I'd love to know your thoughts and feelings on it. Please do share in the comments this whole idea of doing the whole under section of it in this rust color first and then putting the details on top of it. Do you think it works? Would you like to try it? Would you ignore it like the plague? I mean, I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts and feelings. Okay, time to work on the skin. So for me, my orc skin is a little bit more realistic than standard orc skin, as realistic as orc skin can be. So I start with Straken Green and I get a coat of that all over his skin. He does actually have quite a bit of skin poking through underneath, you know, armor panels and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of his back showing, and you can get to both of his arms actually and get them coated in green as well. I save my kind of toxic green orc skin for my Warhammer Fantasy army when it comes to my 40k orcs. I don't like the idea of them being that joke army. Orcs are not a joke. They are terrifying on the battlefield. They're terrifying in the lore. So I wanted to give them a little bit more of a kind of realistic orc skin tone. And that's why I developed this skin tone. So like I said, Straken Green. And then we hit it with a Berserker Bloodshade. And then we're going to layer it up with these three colors. So back to Straken Green, then into Ogryn Camo. And then the last few touch highlights is going to be Krieg Khaki. And this will give us a really nice kind of natural looking orc skin. Something that if an orc was really standing in front of you, he would look more like this than the kind of luminous green that you get from the standard orcs. And as you can see, I am taking my time. I've got a fine pointed brush. I'm finding all those nice raised areas on the face and following those lines and just really spending the time on his face. Like I said, this is Ghazghkull. He's the boss. He deserves your time and effort when it comes to painting. And obviously try and find all the other detail and layer it up as well. He is quite an enjoyable piece to paint, Ghazghkull. The only piece that, of course, that I left off is that jaw plate that would have blocked the way of me painting his face. So that's off and being painted separately, but it's all the same techniques. The majority of it is red. The big gnarly teeth, I ended up doing them in white and then very quickly changing into black at the very end. I actually glued it into place first, and then he looked like he belonged in like a Christmas themed thing. So I quickly changed those to black so it wouldn't look like that. And he looked a lot better, so yeah. So going into the mid-tone now, and as you can see, the kind of brighter areas are starting to pop. And I'm very meticulously picking out the higher sections where the light are going to hit. And then very much so at the very last touch, that Krieg khaki, we're just going to go for very small touch highlights on, like, you know, the very tips of his ears and stuff. As you see, I'm not really going along with like solid brush strokes. You can see me almost kind of touch paint. The brush is just kind of tipping off the different areas as I go along, so I don't leave too much paint behind. Now, there's a couple of details which we won't get to share in the video. So I threw some Volupus pink into his mouth, covering his teeth, his tongue, the inner mouth, all those kind of different sections. Just when we go in and paint the teeth later on, that kind of nice rosy red color is already done. Some Black Templar contrast was then brought in just to tidy up all the different cablings and stuff that we're going to leave behind. Obviously, he's got this strap at the teeth. There's connectors for his claw and his gun. There's other bits kind of hanging around his back. These are kind of like secondary details. You don't have to spend a lot of time on them. And just neatening them up with a little bit of black paint will help them kind of be pushed more into the background of the model, but won't look unpainted. Mechanicus Standard Grey. I'm sorry, this clip is awful because it just went, as soon as I turn it like this, it decided to focus on my hand. So it's only a few seconds. But it's just the tabard and his pants that I painted in with a bit of Mechanicus Standard Grey. That's all. So yeah, I do apologize for that footage. Just want to make sure not to miss that section. Time to start working on the bone section. So Morghast bone first. He's got that big, beautiful trophy skull on his back. And then there's, of course, the huge big tusks, which come out from his armor panels. And then he's got a couple of skulls and stuff festooned around his body. So just make sure you block those all in with Morghast bone. Then we jump up to Grey Seer. And then all of the little kind of glyphs and stuff that are kind of all around the armor, you just kind of block those in with that. So there's a skull, little power symbol on his gun, the little kind of dags on his knee pad, all those bits, you make sure to get it done. And this is actually the color that I used for the kind of teeth jutting out from his jaw plate. And that was just a terrible idea, so don't do that. After those details were blocked in, it's time to just shade them down a little bit. So I grabbed a little bit of Nuln Oil and I shaded all those white sections and all of the bone sections that are left across the model with a little coat of Nuln Oil. Waited for that to dry so I can then start the layering process. He is really starting to come together now. He, of course, comes with Makari, which is his little attendant, which I did show you at the beginning of this video, all sprayed up. Obviously, I didn't have time to paint up another little character throughout this video. That would have added so much time. I've actually been painting him over on my Twitch stream. So I did my first Twitch stream last night, painting him up. And all his base coats and washes are on. He's actually looking really nice. So I'm going to get him layered up very, very soon. My next Twitch stream is obviously tomorrow. I do one every single Tuesday and Thursday evening between 8 and 10 o'clock. You're more than welcome to come and hang out and join. The way I like to work my streams is I like to be like accountability streams. So the idea is that you come along, you spend 2 hours with me twice a week or once a week if you only make one stream. But it's a dedicated amount of time and a set time each week where you know you're going to sit down, break out your models, your brushes and your paint and get some work done. So a lot of people use it for that. It's a great bit of banter. We chat about all those kind of topics that got on. So right now we're all talking about 11th edition rules and the new Armageddon box set and all the different attachments while we're painting away our models and having a great time. It's a really nice community. So please do not be bashful. Even if you've never joined a stream before, you've never checked it out, just come join Twitch on Tuesday or Thursday evening. Look for Mediocre Hobbies between 8 and 10 p.m. Irish time. And I promise you'll have a bit of a laugh. So obviously we've layered up the bone, got all those bits and pieces ready. The model is almost complete now. And you can see, like I said, I'm going to once again hark on this one more time. If we didn't do the rust, after we've done the red armor and the skin and the bone, we would be left with all these kind of bits left over. So I'd have to go in with metallics and try and block in all the weapons, and it would be really solid, and it just wouldn't sell it the way I would want it to. So yeah. Okay, some sandy colored pigment powder. We're going to cover the base in this, and then obviously hit the lower portions of the armor, a few nooks and crannies, anywhere I think the dust from Armageddon would kind of billow up and settle onto his armor. And then to help it adhere to the model, we're then going to go away and hit it with a coat of Minotaur and varnish from Games Workshop, just to secure all that pigment powder, and then obviously add a layer of protection to the model. Blood for the Blood God was then applied vigorously to his power claw. Obviously this is an energized, powered like claw, like the jaws of life that a fireman would have to cut cars in half. So if he clamps this around you and closes it, it's gonna be pretty messy and covered in blood and gore. So I think covering it in some Blood for the Blood God will work a treat. The reason I did this now as the very last step is because the varnish that I sprayed over to secure the pigment would have taken the gloss and the shine off of his claws. So we do it at the very end. So here is our finished Ghazghkull Thraka model, painted to match my Speed Freeks. What do you guys think? Do you think he looks good in red? Do you think he needs a few sponsorship stamps? Or do you think he looks way better in the Goff color and I've ruined the model entirely? Please don't be shy to say it all in the comments below. Thank you guys for sticking around at the end of this video. I'm just going to show you how I store it now and then end the video. Okay, I'm going to just drop in right here because I get asked this question a lot, or else comments show up all the time about models that are kind of big and crazy like this, or like these, when it comes to transporting them and getting them ready for games. And I get asked the question, what do I do all the time? And I genuinely am a big fan of and continuously use, and I'm trying to transfer my entire collection to WarMag cases. I've got probably about kind of 20-25 of these cases so far. And basically every month or so, I just add a couple more to my collection and I transfer more and more stuff across. So it's very simple. You get yourself one of these really useful boxes, and then you get your WarMag sheet. Your WarMag sheet sticks inside of your box like so. You stick it down. Make sure it's pressed in nice and tight. It's already got the adhesive stuff on it, so you just peel the tape off the back. You're left with something like this. And then they sell sheets of magnets in all different sizes and stuff. You don't have to be exactly correct, like obviously this is a big oval and this is a bigger circle than this. They do sell the correct sizes, but I tend to just buy stuff like this. Like this is strong enough for any dreadnought, so take it off. Bottom of Ghazghkull's base. Push it down till it's nice and secure. Put it in the case. Grab another one. So obviously things like WarMag and Ghazghkull are big and crazy and awkward. And obviously if you look at the new Armageddon box set, there's a whole host of things inside of that are the same. They're going to be just a pain to transport. And that's why I think cases like this are going to make such a huge difference. So big in there. Stick it down. These are super secure. They're not going anywhere. They go a little bit above the lid, but you can get these like extendo lids. So obviously loads of space left in that for like the half track and the big orc mech walker thingy and some def dreads and maybe some tanks and stuff like that. So WarMag, that's what I use. That's what I'll continuously use. So big fan of WarMag. Make sure you go and check those guys out.